Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I've got an interesting one for you. Yesterday I bought a Toyota MR2, a very cheap MR2, for just £600, but I don't really know what I'm going to do with it, so I could do with your advice and your help. I got an email from a viewer called Ollie who bought this MR2 towards the end of last year as a bit of a project. We all have these ideas, don't we? Buy a car, tinker with it on the driveway, try and restore it to its former glory, and then use it. But, as is always the case, not often, always, life just gets in the way, doesn't it? In the end, it just winds up sitting on your driveway under a sheet and you end up getting nagged to death by your other half who wants the parking spot back. It happens all the time. He said he wanted between £600 and £800 for it. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this era MR2. It's the year 2000, so I think it's a Mark III. I don't really like them all that much, but I thought at £600 it would make good YouTube content. So I said just that. I emailed him back to say at £600 I'd be interested. Yesterday I went to go and collect it and I was quite impressed with it, to be honest. I forgot just how good they were to drive. My original plan was to do a YouTube video and then just sell it within the trade, move it along quickly, but, well, I only spent half an hour with it yesterday, but I quite like it, which is why I need your help, because I don't know what to do with it. I just don't know how far to go with it. It needs a little bit of TLC, but it's quite a nice one. It's got a nice black leather interior, the alloys aren't completely shot, and it's finished in a really nice dark blue colour. I think Toyota called it something like Majestic Sapphire or Midnight Sapphire, something like that. Anyway, it's a good colour. I suppose it's probably easy to just go and show you the car in person, isn't it? But please let me know below in the comments what you'd do to it. Before I agreed to buy this car, I checked it out using Car Vertical. Now, it's really important that you do one of these checks before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike. It's really easy to do. All you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the vehicle reg or the VIN. In this case, we know the reg. It's Whiskey 583 Echo Alpha Bravo. If you want to do one of these checks for yourself, you'll get 10% off if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. Alternatively, click the link below in the video description. It's a really thorough check though. It checks millions of cars across dozens of countries' databases. It'll tell you whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. As you can see in the case of this MR2, then it all checks out fine. There was one recorded mileage entry which was significantly lower than all the previous years, but I think that was a typo. There's no way it's gone back 45,000 miles in 1 year. But it all checked out fine, and it's even got about 6 months MOT left. Right, let's go and have a look, shall we? Well, there she is, and the first bit of good news is we've got both sets of keys, and they're not all broken either. This era of Toyota Lexus key always seems to snap here, it's not very strong. Let me go and show you around it then. So, ignore the roof for now, I'll get onto that in a second. The colour's really good, isn't it? And the bodywork actually looks okay. Now, this era of Japanese car, you'd expect it to rot. Now, I need to get it up on a ramp and see whether the underside's okay, but there's no advisories for rot. And the wheels are good as well. Now, again, this era of Japanese stuff, the lacquer always peels and then they look a mess, but these have been refurbished, not to the best standard, to be fair, but they do look okay. Brake discs look a little bit rotten, as do the back plates. I was never a big fan of the shape of this MR2. Sort of looks the same from the back as it does from the front, a bit like a push me pull me. People said that about the Boxster, but I don't think the Boxster does really, but this definitely does. So we've got an Accelera, which I think is Halfa's own brand. Again, those back plates on the discs look shot. The whole car would benefit from a good buff and clean up really. There are a few little areas here which have been touched in, not to the best of standards, so it needs some thinners there and a good old clean. Needs some new reg plates, need to buff the headlamps, and somebody's fitted this hideous aftermarket grille, and it's the same on the back. So I could do with finding a nice original one, just to make it look nice and standard. Again, a little mark there that someone's touched in with a 2-inch brush. Some thinners would neaten that up. I mean, the tyres aren't the best brand, but they have got plenty of tread left. Down this side, that area there looks a bit flat, like it's had a repair, but I think that would buff back. So bodywork wise, there's not an awful lot to do. Move around the back, we've got more offensively awful grills. But again, if I could find a set on eBay, that would be a 5-minute job to swap them over. That's not too bad. I can live with that, but the rest of it is too much. Someone's trying to isolate an area there in what looks like aerosol spray it. So again, that would polish out. I think the worst thing about the car, which is why I need your advice, is the hood. Someone's patched it up and it is a bit of a patchwork quilt. This area here looks as if it's shrunk. The car doesn't smell damp, so I don't think it leaks, but it just looks a bit of a state, doesn't it? Around this side it's gone in exactly the same place, so they've patched it and patched it down here, and again it's sort of shrunk. Now I think I need to speak to my upholstery guy really, see what he charged me for a new roof, or at least a new, first part here, because it's in sections. There's nothing wrong with the back of it. That's glass, so that's fine. This all looks fine, so it's just this section here, which is 70% of it in fairness. Do I or don't I? I had a quick look on Auto Trader and they start from around £19.95 retail. So bear in mind I've paid £600 for this. I think it could be worth, well, Car Vertical said it was worth £2,995. I think it could be worth a bit more if I made it exceptionally nice. I mean, don't forget, it's a 23-year-old car, but it's only done 90,000 miles. Let me show you inside then. I was going to say we need a key battery, but it's okay. Inside's very nice. Got a nice black leather interior, which isn't too worn. Doesn't smell damp. We've got the original mats. And it is typical Toyota, really, in that it's not the best looking interiors, is it? But everything still works. I need a new gear knob because this one is hideous. Looks like something off Fast and the Furious, doesn't it? I don't like that at all. And we've got there the original. Look at that, look. Not sure how that fits, but you don't want anyone stealing my my Sony RDS Eon, do we? Some pop-out cup holders. It's all quite nice though, isn't it, really? I quite like it. We've got some touch-up. That is... Does it give me the exact colour? Was I right? Sapphire or something? Doesn't say. It's all very, very plasticky, but like I say, it does all work. And we've got air conditioning, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. Driving it back yesterday, it was quite warm, so I'll have to regas that. But yeah, I mean, how far do I go with it? We've done 91,000 miles. Turn off Gadio. 91,000 miles. Quarter tank of fuel. There are no warning lights on. And it sounds quite sweet. One thing I was going to say to you was, I don't know, I can't remember whether this era, this 1.8 I think it is, whether it has a cam belt or a chain. I'm pretty sure it's a belt. I'll have to check with my mechanic. If it needs a belt, there's £300 gone. So what do I do with this? How far do I go? I could. I don't know. I really don't know. I could quite easily spend £1,500 on this car, in which case it's going to stand me at 21. Then I could try and get 3.5. If I made a really nice job of it, it could be £4 grand, it could be 3.95. I don't know. What would you do? Let me know below. In terms of, well, the windows all work, the mirrors work fine. I'll knock this off. It does drive very well. It felt a little bit loose, so I need to check the tyre pressures. Perhaps they're a bit low. I'm just going to flick through the history now because, in fact, no. Turn that back onto my sweaty forehead because I don't want to reveal any names and addresses. It does have plenty of history. It's not fully stamped in the book, but there is plenty. And there are plenty of receipts as well to back it up. Handbrake cables, wiper blades, tyres. It's had a new auxiliary belt and tensioner because of a rattle. Maybe it's a change of an engine. I can't remember. I had a RAV4 of this era. I think the petrols were chain and the diesels were belt driven. Obviously they didn't do a diesel MR2, but I don't know. My brother had years ago. He had a W-Reg Celica that used to burn oil. They all do. This is probably no different actually. Every couple of weeks you'd have to top up the oil because it would just burn through it, which is a standard thing for this era of Toyota. I mean, it is quite nice. It's got like the original accessory brochure and things like that. Could it be nice enough to spend a fortune on? I prefer those wheels. Someone's done these in kind of like an off silver, like a grey, but they do look nice in bright silver. Might have to get this over to Prestige Wheels and get them powder coated. See, there's another 300 quid. Do I do it or not? We've got here as well, I've just spotted, that's the previous MOT, I think. It wasn't 6 months remaining then, it's about 3 months remaining, 2 or 3 months. Oh, there you go, right. It was a typo then. Somebody, some idiot, has put 45,000 miles down instead of 89, but at least we've got a date there of when it was done. Because it's an old car this now, we've got, don't worry, I'll tidy all this up. We've got, where is it? All the old previous MOTs. Got their names and addresses there, we're good. Yeah, look at this. I'd forgotten what these looked like. That was the previous style of MOT, but we've even got them older than that. Look at this. Look at that. Remember when they looked like that? They must have been so easy to forge, mustn't they? I haven't seen an MOT look like that for years and years. We've got an original RAC inspection there. There's a bill of sale as well. We've got the logbook down there. Service book. Where's that? Service record. Royal Sapphire, what did I tell you? MR2 Roadster, HT, do you think that stands for hardtop? So we're missing its hardtop. Someone must have sold that at some point. It's come from Salisbury originally. Aircon must have been an option as well. So service history then, it isn't brilliant in the book. There are some gaps, but there are plenty of receipts and stuff on the floor just to back it all up. We've also got some badges that I could stick back on it because somebody's debadged it. Where's my 2 gone? MR2. Bit of trivia for you. In France, these weren't called the MR2, they were just called the MR, or the MR. Yeah, MR I think, just MR, because MR2 in French, however they say it, MR2, sounds a bit like their word for excrement, merde. Right, let me show you under the bonnet then. This is something weird about these cars. The bonnet catch is in the glove compartment. The last place you'd look. Nope, that's gonna annoy me. Keep those out. We'll also pop the other boot. Don't forget this is rear-engined or mid-engined rear-wheel drive. So under here, there's not an awful lot to see. Ah, that's what MR stands for, the midship runabout. Got some wacky names, the Japanese, don't they? And under this plastic cover is the spare. It's all quite original though, isn't it? That's why, as much as I don't really like these cars, I prefer the MX-5. It's all quite nice, and as a petrol head, I just want to save it. I know I said let me know in the comments below what you want me to do with this, but I think I know what to do with it. I think I'm going to save it. New hood and everything, the whole lot. You probably think I'm mad, but... So there's the engine. There's a little bit of surface rust here and there, but no gaping holes or anything like that. It all looks okay. I think first things first then, I need to have a look on eBay for some new grills and get rid of those hideous ones, but I think I need to run it down to my mechanics, let them have a look at it and see whether it's all right underneath, whether it's okay structurally. Plane's allowed today. Should we drive this then and see what it's like? Right then, let's fire this up. So I'm thinking, run it to my mechanics, service MOT, wax oil the underside of it just to try and protect it and prolong it. Check out those brake discs, or the back plates for the brake discs, because I think they need replacing. It's quite a rattly car, this, but I think they all were. You sit very low down to the ground, and it's old. I'll get those jobs done. I'll gas the air conditioning. I'll have a look on eBay for some new bits, new grills and gear knobs and that sort of thing. Flying here somewhere. There you go. Then in the meantime, I think I can speak to my upholstery guy and see if he can do anything with the roof. If he can't, then I'm going to have to try and find a new roof off the internet and see if I can fit it or have it fitted. Let's not fool anyone here. Shall I set myself a £1,400 budget? 1,400 quid. Worst case, I could 2995 this car. Cheers. And there's still £1,000 profit, hopefully. Because it does drive really well. They were a very light car, these. I think they weigh less than a ton, about 970 kilos or something. They're quite well balanced and they're rear wheel drive. So the little 1.8 litre engine does feel quite, well, it feels like enough. When I first got in it yesterday and started to drive it, the brakes were grinding quite a lot, but I think it was just because they'd been stud, or the car had been stud. Because after about 10 minutes of driving it and freeing them off, they've been all right since. I haven't actually tried the roof yet. I think it's just a manual roof, so there's nothing really to go wrong, but I don't want to have it jammed down now the weather's turned slightly, and then be in a situation where I can't put it back up again. But it does go, this thing. Yeah, I think I need to check the tyre pressures on the front because it does feel a little bit sloppy. I think this era of Toyota would have had a leather gear knob. Someone's probably replaced it because it's worn away, so I'll have to try and find one. I don't know whether it's the same as on a Celica or a Corolla or whatever, but I'll have to try and find one because that's making me ill. Right guys, well I think that's all I can show you for today, so leave it with me for a couple of weeks and hopefully I'll have turned this MR2 around. See you later on. Well, we're back in the old midship runabout 2, and I think it looks fantastic. You can probably guess my next line, can't you? I've massively overspent. Hugely, ridiculously. I've had a full service done, I've replaced bits of the grille that had those horrible aftermarket parts. I've even had a brand new roof fitted. I told you I'd overspent. This project's taken me months to finish, so let me try and figure out what exactly I've had done. I think after we last spoke, I ran it straight down to my mechanics because I was worried about the cam bell. I thought if it's its original cam bell, it'll be ready to snap. Apologies for my voice, by the way, I'm still trying to recover from man flu. I dropped it off at my mechanics and I was expecting that phone call where they call me to say, sorry mate, it needs a load of welding this. It's all rotten and rusty, but it never came. In fact, they said it was quite solid underneath. There were a few little bits that they had to wire brush and neaten up, but it passed its MOT without a single advisory item. And the other good news is that this engine's chain driven rather than a belt, so I didn't have to spend £300 or £400 on a new cam belt. While it was down there, it had its MOT, had a new set of wiper blades, and it had a full service. All the filters, all the fluids, and new spark plugs. And it's now running as sweet as a nut. In between all that, I went onto eBay and I tried to find the original grille. There were about 4 or 5 different parts to the grille. Some were £25, some were £30. I think one, the wide part of the lower grille, I think that was £60. So in total I spent about £150 on those new vents and grille bits. When they arrived, I dropped them down with my mechanic and asked them to fit them, which turned out to be a bit of a palaver. I think for the front bits, they had to take the front bumper off. Anyway, it's all done and it now looks nice and original. The old ones look stupid. I think one of the previous owners of this car must have been given a gift voucher for Halfords for Christmas. Not my cup of tea at all. One thing I couldn't find though, which was quite annoying, I was trying to find the original leather gear knob for it. I just couldn't find one. When you start looking on eBay for gear knobs, you find silly things like a skull or an 8-ball and things like that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep this one. A few days later then, I picked it up from my mechanics and took it down to the body shop, and I asked Jim to just make it look as good as possible. It didn't actually need any paint, but it was all a bit sorry looking. So what he's done is flat it all down and then slowly, gradually polish it all back. And it looks, I mean, for a 23-year-old car, I think it looks really good. This royal sapphire blue's now got a deep shine to it. It's almost the same colour blue as my AMG GT. It's a nice colour. My bill from there was about 200 quid, but it was £200 well spent. Then I got it back to the garage and fitted some new reg plates. They cost me £15. And at that point, it was really starting to take shape. It was looking really good, but it had that tatty roof. It had loads of previous repairs and it just really let the car down. And I thought, if I'm going to ask top money for this, I can't sell it with that scruffy hood. So I did what any sane, rational person would do on a £600 MR2. I took it to the trimmers and spent £1,550 having a brand new roof fitted. Who does that? Who in their right mind does that? Nobody. That was about 7 days ago. Actually, no, maybe 10 days ago, thinking about it. I took it down to Jim at Auto Trim, aka Jim the Trim. They're really good down there. As soon as I pulled up in it, he came out and said, Matt, you're going to need a new hood on that. So, while he was there, he noticed that some parts of the metal frame were a bit rusty, so he's replaced various components as well. And now, it goes up and down, just like new, with ease. I know you'll think I'm mental for spending £1,550 on a £600 car, but I'm really quite pleased with myself. It's only done 91,000 miles, I just felt like the car needed a little bit of TLC. Luckily for it fell into the right hands. So I picked it up from there. Where did I go next? Oh, I took it over to Tameside Valeting for a full detailed clean. That cost me £70, but it came up really well. The interior in particular was nice and clean. Then I got it back to work, took some nice photographs of it, and I've currently got it advertised for $3,995, which is probably on the dear side. You can pick these up for about £2.5 grand, but for one that's just had a brand new roof in this condition, I don't think $3,995 is an awful lot of money for this kind of car. You know, this is going to be bought by somebody as a toy car, isn't it? A Sunday car. A car that they use whenever the sun's out. And at £4 grand, I can't really see it ever being worth an awful lot less. It's 23 years old now. Surely it's got to start creeping up in value. Let me pull over then and I'll work out exactly what I've spent. It's quite a lot though. Here'll do then. It's not as scenic as my usual spots, but it'll do for now. Leave it in gear so we don't roll anywhere. Right, so as you'll remember, I paid £600 for the car. I spent £540 at my mechanics, and my bill is here actually. So it was an MOT test fee, £40, an oil filter, £9.57, air filter, £12.85, spark plugs, £19, oil, £28, wiper blades, £24, wire brush all excess surface rust off front and rear suspension, etc. Strip front end and replace plastic trim. That was all the grille bits that I was talking about. Remove rear bumper and back lights and replace the plastics around the reg plate, and the labour, £325. They did spend quite a lot of time on this. So my total there was £542.15. I spent £70 having it valeted, £150 on eBay bits and bobs, £15.50 on a new hood. That's £1,550, not £15.50, just in case you're wondering. £200 at the body shop. £15 on some reg plates, so my total is £3,125. £3,125 on a car I paid £600 for. But oh, actually no, there's more. I need to get the air conditioning regassed. I haven't had time. I've arranged for Mike to come out in his van and top up several cars in the forecourt, and he hasn't been yet, so in the next couple of days I'll get that done. That's another £60. So if I can get £3,995 for it, it should leave me a profit of about £750, £800. So not bad really, is it? And more importantly, I've saved another modern classic. I think had this fallen into the wrong hands, it would have just gone downhill, wouldn't it? So I'm quite pleased that I've saved another classic. Just have to try and sell it now. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. And I'll see you next time. Cheers guys.